What is up, guys? Dave back again for another trucking vlog, and today we're going to be talking about a guy named Billy. And I filmed this before I got home, but it wasn't enough for a full video, so I decided just to kind of do this little intro here to tell you guys kind of what happened with the last video. As you guys know, I had a flat tire on that trailer from the last video. I stayed at a Quick Trip right down the road, and they had it fixed, and I ended up getting my 10-hour break in at the Quick Trip. Woke up that morning, grabbed the trailer, took it to Jackson, Mississippi, and that's where this video starts off. Is right before I get to my relay point, which was at a Pilot in Jackson, Mississippi. I was dropping off the trailer for another driver. I told you guys a story about Billy. So I wanted to make that a video in itself because Billy deserves a video of himself. Anyways, so yeah, it was some experience I had back when I drove the box truck, but I tell all that in this video. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoy it. I gotta tell you guys a story about Billy. I'm gonna tell you guys a story about Billy, who had a Class A license, who couldn't drive worth a damn. I'm gonna tell y'all the story in another video. You know what? This video is not gonna be long enough right now with just a little bit of CB and a little bit of back. Let's go ahead and talk about Billy. Billy. And Billy does know about my videos. I highly doubt it. I don't know, maybe he does still watch. Billy, if you do watch my videos at all, Bill, I'm sorry, man. I'm calling you out here on the tubes. Honestly, I don't give a shit, Billy. You done messed up with me, Bill. Anyways, when I got hired at the box truck job, right, it was driving a 29-foot Hino 338 box truck, carrying newspapers from Jackson, Mississippi to Biloxi. Basically leaving Biloxi, well, it was Gulfport, Biloxi area, Mississippi Gulf Coast. Leaving at like, I think it was like 4:30 p.m. Getting up there at like 7:30 p.m. Waiting for the papers to get done. Loading up the truck, which we would usually do ourselves with a pallet jack. And because they were on big pallets of just newspapers. It was for like the whole Gulf Coast freaking well, the whole Gulf Coast of Mississippi's newspapers is what we were carrying. And they used to have a printing press down on the, you know, where I worked at, down in Biloxi, but they shut it down. They were downsizing, so they outsourced it to what's called the Clarion Ledger in Jackson, Mississippi, and they would print our papers for us, and we would go up there and pick them up. It was much cheaper for us to send one driver to go pick up the newspapers and have them print them than for us to run our whole printing press with maintenance and workers and all that. So that's why they did that. They were just, you know, conserving money and whatnot. Because obviously newspapers are going out of freaking business, obviously, because, you know, it's 2020, nobody's reading newspapers anymore. Anyways, so yeah, my mom worked at that place for like freaking nearly 30 years. Her husband, like, more than that. They had worked there for a long time. They met through there, everything else. They're now married, happily married and all as well. She worked there for a long time, and I remember I was in Ohio, and she goes, hey, there's this job opening, driving a box truck, you know, for the newspaper. Would you be interested in it? She's like, I thought you would really like that because you know, I've had kind of driving jobs before. And I was like, yeah, I would love that. So she went and talked to the human resources lady. She was like, well, does he have his Class B license? This is a Class B truck. And my mom's like, no, he doesn't have any license. Well, they were willing to work with me because the word of my mom, and, you know, me being her son and her being there forever, they worked with me. And they're like, yeah, we'll get the truck, and, you know, if he does all the permit stuff and everything, when he needs to get his license, he can take our truck and go do his road test and all that. So they were going to help me get my Class B, which was really awesome because it was going to be free of charge. You know, I don't have to pay nobody. I don't got to rent a truck or do nothing crazy, or nobody's got to, you know, it was nice and set up. So that's what happened. They ended up hiring me. Everything else, you know, did drug tests and all that crap and hired me. And they were going to hire 2 drivers because, you know, they weren't going to pay overtime, and they needed somebody for every single day of the week for the newspapers. So I remember the first day I walk in there, there's this other guy that got there at the same time as I did. We were gonna go in there for kind of like a little mini orientation, sign paperwork, show us around the plant and stuff. And I was like, oh, are you the other driver? And this guy who's probably about, I don't know how old he was, I say he's probably in his 50s. He's probably about 50. If I was to guess his age, he's about 50. I think there's a Love's up here on the right. Probably about 50 years old, you know, middle-aged guy, just,
turn left on the road.
You know, looked like a decent dude. And I met him and we talked a little bit, and he's like, yeah, I got my Class A. I was like, oh, okay. He was like, are we driving a tractor trailer? I was like, no, we're driving a box truck. He's like, oh, okay, good, because it's been a while since I drove one, so I would need to get some practice or something, or some training. And that kind of, to me, was like a red flag. Like, I kind of felt like, I was like, you know what, do I turn here or no? So that was the #1 red flag with Billy for me. I said, well, you know, I figured if a guy had driven tractor trailers, he wouldn't just forget it and have to practice. I mean, yeah, I guess when you got back behind the wheel the first time, you'd have to be kind of like, you know, okay, you know, I gotta get back into the groove or whatnot. Then I asked him who he worked for. He said Swift. I was like, okay. And obviously not every Swift driver is bad, okay? So I know it's they're the brunt of the joke of the new companies, but you know, any new company that hires a lot of new drivers are gonna make mistakes, shit's gonna happen. That's the video for another day. Anyway, so he had driven for Swift. Well, they sent us one day in a van to go do the route. They was like, yeah, we're gonna have you bring a pallet of something up there that they need, and you guys can get familiar with the route and everything else. Well, Bill wanted me to drive, he didn't want to drive, so I drove the whole way up there. And when we got up there, I was like, do you want to drive at all? Or, you know, do you want to back or anything like that? And he's like, no, I'm going, you can do it. I did everything. I backed the van into the place, etc., you know, whatever. Well, then, they didn't have the box put on the truck yet, so they rented us a Penske truck. And it was the big 26-foot Penske truck, right? Man, I might have to finish this story on another day, because I'm already getting to the frickin' Flying J Pilot, man. I might not be able to finish this story in this video. So they rented us the Penske truck, and, you know, Bill knows that I'd never driven a big truck before. I hadn't even driven a big box truck like the 26-foot Penske truck. I wasn't scared of it or anything. I just, you know, I was like, I've never driven one of these. And he's like, oh, you gotta be careful. You got these air brakes. They just do not work the same way that they do in a car. And like, he's going off, you know, and everything else. And, you know, whatever. The guy, you know, drove tractor trailers. He knows what he's talking about, right? Now, if you don't know, a box truck, it backs about the same way as a car does. I was perfectly comfortable backing the box truck because, you know, it's not a combination vehicle. It's just a straight vehicle. And so,
Pilot Flying J on the left.
It backs really simply. It's not a big deal whatsoever. Well, I'm really gonna have to do this another time, dude. There's nowhere. Where are you gonna park here, bro? Is there even any parking spots? That's like idle air shit. They probably charge you for those spots over there. I bet they do. Man, the CFI better give me, I'm gonna be out of time. The CFI, I wonder if that's him over there. There's a CFI right there. I don't know if that's him or not. I'm hoping he's either here already or he is going to be able to get a parking spot, because parking pass required. Yeah, the hell with all that BS. We're just gonna pull back here, just out of the way. That way, if he's here or not. No, let's go over this way. Yeah, those don't require parking passes or anything, so that's all good. All right, let's back in, guys. That was almost perfect. That was almost a one shot. Anyways, so yeah, I figured you guys are all kind of wanting to know more about Bill. The Bill thing is actually, it's pretty funny. So, I'm gonna try to figure out how to explain this. So we took the box truck, a Penske 26-foot truck, up to Jackson one day. Well, our company told us to get fuel at this Shell station, right? That was on the right off the highway and whatnot. Well, it was kind of a little bit cram-packed Shell station. But he went to go turn into the fuel pump, right? And he had to take it a little bit wide, but it wasn't anything crazy. And he ended up taking it a little bit too wide. So basically, here's the pump here, okay? Can you guys see my fist? All right, so Bill was in the box truck and he went to turn to get alongside the pump to put fuel in the truck. Well, Bill took it a little bit too wide and Bill got like this. Guys, I'm not kidding you. The man did this about 4 or 5 times. He would back up, but he had the wheel all the way to the left, and then he would go forward, and then he would go back, and he would go forward. Guys, he did that 4 or 5 times, and I spoke up. I was like, dude, cut the wheel the other way. You know what I mean? So then when you backed up, right, you would cut it like that, you know, kind of like a snake, and then, you guys know what I'm talking about. Anybody that knows how to drive, you should know exactly what I'm talking about. The dude did not do that. That was the moment that I was like, holy shit, this guy can't drive. He can't even get a box truck. Like, he just kept, like I said, here's the pump. And he just kept doing like this. He just kept going back and forth. Like, rather than going like this and then snaking it back and then pulling it, dude just kept, he kept the wheel in the same position. And I was just like, oh my God. So I tell him, I say, dude, I said, wait, now you need to cut the wheel down. I got my Class A. I know what, you know what, we're gonna go get fuel up the road. I know a better spot anyways. I'm like, oh God, who am I riding with, dude? This dude does not, this dude has a Class A. This dude has a Class A. So then it starts kind of making sense. I'm like, oh God, no wonder he's trying to do this, right? No wonder he's wanting to drive a box truck, you know? This guy, if he can't drive this, he can't drive a tractor trailer. Ain't no freaking way. No freaking way, dude. So he got kind of pissy with me, you know. He's like, I got my Class A, I know what I'm doing. It's just there's too much stuff around, you know. He's like making excuses and stuff. I'm like, dude, I just saw you like 3 or 4 times trying to do the same freaking thing. Look like a granny trying to parallel park, dude. Like it was just bad. It was really bad. And so we get up there, dude, and when we got about 20 minutes away, dude's trying to get me to back. He's like we're like 20-30 minutes away. He's like, you want to drive? You want to drive? I'm getting a little tired. You want to drive the rest of the way? And it clicked in my brain, he doesn't want to back this thing. Now, I won't lie, I'm a little bit nervous too, because like, I'm about to have to back into a little dock. I've never backed a big truck into a little dock. It was a pretty little dock there. But I've never backed, it was inside too. You like went into a big thing and then anyways, it wasn't bad once you did it a while, but I won't lie, I was a little bit nervous, but I'm like, well, let's see the Class A guy do it. Show me how it's done, Mr. Class A tractor trailer driver. I got my license. So I intentionally was like, no, I'm good. No. I was like, no, I'm okay. You can keep driving. You can keep driving. And I could tell he was getting nervous. He didn't want to back this truck. It's a freaking 26-foot box truck. It's funny now when I look back at it. So we get up there. Oh my God, dude, this guy, he cannot back worth. I swear he about took out a pole. He didn't know what stop meant. Like, I kept saying, Bill, stop, 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 because he was about to hit the pole. And he'd stop at like the last second. I swear he was about a ½ inch away from this big concrete pole that, you know, on each side of the dock. And then when he got in there, he was crooked as shit. And he had to try to fix it and go forward and backward. And I'm just like, oh my God, this guy, he does not know what he's doing. He does not know what he is doing. And that was the moment I realized, I was like, this guy, oh my God. So we get done, I drive back. I start to drive, right? There's a car probably ½ a mile up the road. Bill looks over at me and he starts freaking out. He's like, man, he's off. You see, that car's coming up. The car's like, guys, I'm not lying. It's about ½ a mile up the road. The car's about a half mile up the road. He's freaking out. I'm like, Bill, it's way up there. It's fine. Yeah, but you don't know these brakes. You don't know these air brakes. You can't stop this on a dime like you can a car. Like, Bill, I'm pretty sure I could stop it within a half a mile, Bill. It's all right, Bill. Like, I'm telling him to calm down. I get up to this car. He's like, test the brakes so you understand the feel for him. He's getting louder. He's getting more quick. And I'm like, Bill, I'm fine. I got this. And I tap on the brakes. He reaches over, grabs my leg, and tries to push my leg into the brakes. I'm not even lying to y'all, dude. I told everybody. I told, like, my freaking family and shit this story. I was like, dude just reached over and freaking starts pushing my foot into the damn brake. I lost it, dude. I lost it on him. I said, Bill. I used to call him Bill then, but then I guess everybody else called him Billy. I said, Bill. I said, dude, you are gonna be the reason why I wrecked this fucking truck. I mean, I was cussing him out and everything. I was like, you are gonna be, I'm not gonna wreck this truck if you just leave me alone, let me to drive the son of a bitch. Like, at this point, I already know he don't know what the hell he's talking about. Don't know what the hell he's talking about. So anyways, he was chill the rest of the way, but he was still telling me to watch out for these cars that were freaking, you know, a quarter to half a mile up the road. I'm like, Bill, calm down, dude. Like, I know what I'm doing. It's not that big of a deal. So anyways, we get back and I go to back into the dock, right? And this was my first backing situation. I had never done it before. And I will admit, this dock was actually hard, guys, at our main place where we delivered to. There was no lines. There was no lines. The dock was hard to see. The back of your truck pretty much blocked any type of landmarks or the lines on the dock or anything like that once you went to start backing. And I was off. Bill comes running up, dude. He hops off the dock. Like, my boss was back there, and the warehouse workers and all that, the people who separate the papers were back there. And he comes and he's trying to be a hero. He jumps on the truck while it's moving, while I'm backing. I'm still backing. I pulled up and started backing, and he jumps up, grabs the mirror. He's standing on here. You need to cut the wheel this way. You need to cut. Like, he's trying to show everybody like he knows what he's doing and I don't, you know, and that I'm some newbie that just, which I am. I'm newbie and I'm jacking it up because, you know what, it's a hard dock, guys. It wasn't easy. It really wasn't. But anyways, he jumps up on the truck, and even my boss told me later, he's like, I can't believe he actually jumped up on the truck while you were backing like that. Like, you were doing fine, like you were fixing it and everything else, you know, because I was fixing it, I was getting it. And then I got this crazy guy sitting on the side of the truck screaming at me, and I'm like, Bill, calm the hell down, dude. So then we drove again together, and this guy, I swear to God, dude, I thought we were gonna go into the ditch. We were merging onto, I can't remember the highway, whatever bypasses Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And there's a part where you have to merge, and like, there was no room. And like, dude, like freaking went off the road onto the shoulder rather than like slowing down. I'm like, oh my God, I'm pushing my foot to the floor, I'm holding on. He's like, these motherfuckers won't get over for me. I'm thinking, Bill, well, stop there, bro. Slow down, something. Don't just fucking run us off onto this dirt shoulder. It was a dirt shoulder right there, dude. I don't know if any of y'all know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. I drove that route freaking 200 times. Anyways, more than that, I think. Shit, I drove it a lot. There's like a dirt freaking, oh my God, I'm like, we're gonna die, dude. He had pedal to the floor and everything else. I'm like, this guy's gonna freaking kill me. We got up there, sure enough, he's struggling backing again, dude. Struggling backing. I'm just like, God dang it, Bill. Like, this dude, he's just terrible. Anyways, Bill ends up starting to get some flack from management over time. So after that, we started driving on our own, right? And I did a little bit of practicing at the dock, you know, on my off days. I'd go up there before, you know, in the morning, and I'd kind of back to the dock. My managers and stuff told me that. So I got really comfortable with backing the box truck, which, I mean, I knew how to back a car. I could parallel park a car. I can do all that. A van, whatever. So I knew I would get it. It's just, it's a little bit different. It's a little bigger of a vehicle, you know. It moves a little bit different, but it's the same concept. So it was quick, you know. Couple hours out there just backing it back and forth, learning our dock. I was good, and I just wanted to make sure I was good and knew what I was doing. So I'm like, hell yes, I got this now. So me and Bill started doing our own little runs. You know, I think I did 4 days a week, he did 3, because that was the deal. When I first got hired, I actually got hired before Bill. Somebody has to do 4 days, somebody has to do 3. Sorry, but that's the way it works, you know what I mean? I guess you could alternate each other week, but that wasn't the way they did it. They said Bill was gonna be considered a part-time driver. I was hired as the full-time driver, okay? Even though that was only 33 hours a week, I still got the full-time benefits, and I got the 4 days, Bill got the 3. Well, over time, Bill wasn't very happy with this. Bill started going to my boss, which my boss told me later, but Bill started going to my boss, bad-mouthing me. Basically saying like he doesn't know what he's doing. All he has is his Class B. He doesn't even have his Class A. I got my Class A. Why am I only part-time? This is bullshit. Trying to basically take my job and keep the job for himself. And was always trying to badmouth me. They didn't tell me at the time, but after he eventually got fired, because Bill did get fired, they told me, my boss told me, yeah, he was constantly like bad-mouthing you and trying to take your job and saying that you, trying to catch you every little thing that you did wrong or making up shit or whatever. And my boss kind of knew it. He knew what his motives were, so my boss didn't really listen to him. He's okay, Bill, all right, but you know, he didn't really do anything about it. Me and my boss were pretty cool there. You know, like I said, I was a hard worker. I did my shit, you know, I crossed my T's, dotted my I's. Like, that's just the type of worker I am, man. I always do that. Even now in trucking, you know, I always try to do everything the right way. I've always been a hard worker. So anyways, Bill was bad-mouthing me. Well, then when he noticed that things weren't changing, he started to take a lot of time getting back and started, I guess, you know, I think one day he took 5.5 hours, right? And usually we got back in like 2 hours and 45 minutes, roughly. At the latest, maybe 3 hours. Hell, they said they gave us 3 hours, right? But you could make it in 2.5. But they're like, we give you guys 3 hours to get back. One day, it was like 5.5 hours, and the papers were late going out the next day, and oh, it was a big ordeal. They're like, Bill, what was wrong? Man, I was tired, you know, I was tired to do my pre-trip in the morning. I was tired later on that night, you know, I had to pull over, and I don't know, I just making up excuses and shit, because I guess he wasn't happy with his little 3 days a week and no benefits and all that. But that's what you signed up for, bro. You agreed to get hired to a part-time job without benefits and all that. So quit bitching. You can't drive anyways. Well, then I start asking the guys in the Jackson where they printed the papers. I start telling the guys there, you know, because I was cool with them. They was like, man, they said, do you know that we have to load Bill's truck for him? Now, this is box truck stuff, guys, right? We're responsible for loading our own papers. They have pallet jacks there. We grab the pallet jack, we load them. I will admit, before I did that job, I had never used a pallet jack in my life. Never used one. I never worked in a warehouse, never worked in anything. I did work in a factory once with my dad, but I never used pallet jacks there, ever. I never moved pallets. But anyways, I had never used one. But, you know, I'm like, hell yeah, let me learn how to do this, you know? It was a little awkward at first, you know? You're like, oh God, you know, go a little bit too far this way. Oh no, you know, and you gotta get used to it. But a couple of days, guess what? I was flying around with pallet jacks loading my truck. Bill would never do it. Bill would never load his own truck. Never would. And I know exactly why, because he didn't know how to use a pallet jack and he didn't want to freaking learn. He was scared of it. They said that he made up every excuse in the book. That the dude was like talking about like, no, I'm scared of elevators, you know, like the big industrial elevator, you know, freight elevator is what it was, where you could put 4 pallets on at a time, and he would just make all sorts of excuses to get somebody to load his truck up for him. He was the only one that didn't load his truck. Every time I went there, I loaded my own truck. Grabbed the pallet jacks, put the pallets on there, 4 pallets at a time, down the thing, onto the truck, gone. Good to go. Not Bill. Bill made them do it, and that's not what they did. They didn't load our trucks for us. That wasn't an agreement or anything. We go there, we load our own trucks. We were supposed to, but Bill made every excuse in the book not to do it, because I know he didn't know how to use a freaking pallet jack, and he was either too embarrassed or scared to use one, you know, or embarrassed to say, I don't know how to use one. I told him. If I don't know how to do something, dude, I tell people I don't know how to do something. I don't act like I know, because that's the best way to really embarrass yourself, is when you say you know and then you don't. Because it's pretty obvious when you don't. So I tell them, I never used these before. Oh, well, let me show you. You know, you just push this to go forward, you know, this way to go reverse. And, you know, if you want to go left, you pull it right. You go right, you pull it left. Okay, now there you go. And then they know that I'm new. And then I don't look like an idiot anymore. I look like, oh, I was just new to it, you know? Yeah, they may say, God, he don't know how to use a pallet jack, you know? What kind of man is he? But I didn't. I never worked in that type of job to ever have to use one. So yeah, I had to learn, but I was up for it. Took me 2 days, I got it. Bill, nope, didn't want to do it. Then they tell me, after, they was like, dude, you don't know how many times that Bill has left here and we've had to chase him down and tell him that the door's open. He would leave the roll-up door open, dude, and go drive out of there, and luckily guys would be out there smoking or whatever out there by the docks, and they'd be like, hey, Bill, You know, tell him your door's open, man. Your door's wide open. You go, all right, hop out and go pull the door down. Like, Jesus Christ, Bill. They just said, they said all he did was bitch. He came there every night and he bitched. He bitched about me. He bitched about the company. He said the company was against him. He was one of those guys that he's one of those guys that he would go and probably write a negative review on every single trucking company like it was them and not him, you know? And I know there's a lot of shitty trucking companies out there, I'm sure. But you know what I mean. Just a guy that's unhappy in everything and blames everything on everyone else but himself. Blamed me, blamed our boss, blamed the Jackson, blamed the friggin' big company, just everything, dude. He was just one of those type of guys, and he was jealous because, I mean, I had a class, I had the license for the truck. So what if you got a Class A? I got the Class B. I was hired first. I was told I was the full-timer. That's the way it works, bro. And you're trying to badmouth me to get my job. But luckily, you know, my bosses weren't as blind to see. They knew who the one that got back quick was. They know the one that learned how to use the pallet jacks. They know the one who took the extra steps to make sure that my job was done correctly and efficiently. They knew all that. They knew it. They knew Bill was a bunch of bullshit. They could read right through that dude. Thankfully, because if not, hell, I might have got fired. Anyways, Bill ended up taking a lot of time every single run. I think he was trying to get fired. And I just don't think he cared anymore. I don't know. But one time they said they tracked him because we had trackers on this truck. They told us they had trackers on this truck. They knew where we were at all times. And I guess they called the company that runs that or whatever, whoever it was, and he was stopping like every 15 minutes. On a 2.5 hour drive, every 15 minutes, he was stopping for like 15 minutes. Yeah, so needless to say, after about the 4th or 5th time of him being super late and causing those papers, they gave him every chance in the book, man. They gave him every freaking chance. And after the 4th or 5th time, they was just like, Bill, we gotta let you go. And they ended up firing his ass. And then they hired a girl that worked there. She was a tractor trailer driver, and she could actually drive. Really cool, got along with her great, really sweet girl. Drove tractor trailers for, I want to say she drove 7 months. And can't remember who she worked for, but she had like twin boys. I think it was twin boys, and she wanted more time with her family, so that's why she was doing what she did and decided to quit the tractor trailers. But she did it successfully for 7 months, and she could drive that damn box truck, back the shit out of it, no problem at all. So she was good. But yeah, Bill, he ended up getting fired. And then that's when I really heard everything, you know. They was like, oh, he couldn't do this, he couldn't do that. He said he was scared of the elevator, and that's why he couldn't use the pallet jack to load his own truck. And, you know, and I tell them the stories about how, God, he couldn't back. They was like, oh, we know he couldn't back. They said, as much as he came here, he still couldn't barely get that damn thing in the hole. It took him forever. He's like, you just whip right in there in the first shot and you're good to go. I was like, yeah, it's not that hard once you've done it, you know, 4, 5, 6, 10 times. It's easy. And they was like, he just can't do it. And they were like, and he had a Class A? I was like, yeah, he had a Class A. I said he started with Swift. I said, I don't think he made it out of training. I said, there's no way. I said he must have like got his CDL with Swift, right? But then dropped out of training or hit something or did something stupid or whatever and got fired, or he quit. One or the other. There's no way that dude drove tractor trailers for any length of time. Ain't no way. I don't think he got out of training. And then he, of course, would blame it on Swift, you know, and he's like when he told me, yeah, I worked for Swift, he's like, man, I'm ashamed to say it, you know. I'm like, why ain't you there anymore? Oh, man, they were terrible to me, you know. They were such a bad company, and you know, just blame, like he always did. He blamed it on everybody else, you know what I mean? So yeah, he lost all his credibility with me. The moment he tried to get into the gas pump and just kept doing like this, that's the moment he lost all credibility to me. I was like, this guy can't drive. This guy can't freaking drive at all, bro. Like, no. Anyways, this is going to be a long-ass video, guys. I'm going to let you go because I'm going to go in there and get some food and pee and everything else. But, yeah, I'm going to sit here and wait for my relay guy to come, which they said 15:40, which is an hour and 40 minutes from now. So hopefully he gets here. And, yeah. Until next time, guys. Peace.
Let's take a spin to a foreign place. These open highways are calling our name, and now it's time for us to escape. Escape to a world we don't know. Escape into the great unknown. Escape to a world we don't know. Escape into the great unknown.